Hello?
Hello, folks. I think you were right. Now it's, oh my
You
goodness.
guys, we have been talking for 20 minutes.
Oh, oh, wow.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yay. Wow. Yikes. Guys, you have no idea. We've been sitting there talking with each other like, I don't understand what's going on. Must be some kind of problem with the thing.
I'm
We,
like
I
StreamYard,
thought we were so
but
good.
then I'm like, but people are talking about Kremlins. So I'm like, are they not seeing James either? I'm like, what is
Right.
going on?
Oh my goodness. Guys, I'm so sorry. This is ridiculous. That's on me. That had nothing to do
No,
with Sarah. That's
it's
on
all
me.
good because
Yet. Oh wow. And there it
people
is. It's like 20
didn't like what
seconds.
we were talking about before. You'll never know.
Yeah, right.
We were saying all kinds of spicy things.
Right, right. If you guys knew what the inside, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, welcome everyone to the show. What the hell? We are we're living La Vida Loca over this way. Apparently.
It's
You
all
know what?
good. It's all good, you guys.
Yeah, I wish I had a case of beer because then I could be like, oh, because I had the Heineken or whatever. The Heineken
What I
moment.
do want to reiterate though is that I am hoping that Teresa, you are safe because we did say
Right.
that. And apparently that message did not get across. So we are wishing safety for everyone. I am fine here in Orlando.
Right.
But yes, wishing
Wow.
everybody who's in the path of Debbie is safe and sound. Oh my goodness.
That's horrible. Okay. So much for professionalism right down the toilet. You know what I mean?
I had this whole
What
thing.
the
I
shit?
was blaming StreamYard.
Right? I'm like, these people are against us. They trying to hold us back.
Yeah.
The only one holding you back is yourself, James. Hey, what's
That
going
is
on,
the story
Tracy?
of my life.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow. I'm like, okay, we're gonna give a shout out to Lizzie B. I saw her, Kathy Ferran in the house. Hey,
Yes,
there's okay,
I saw one of my no,
yeah,
Big
B Cat
Cat.
K is in the house.
Yeah.
And I think that's everybody. If we miss anybody, please let me know. Send me a message or something. Let me know. Let's get it. Let's get it. We were talking a little bit. I won't rehash it, but we were talking a little bit about forbidden love before we got started. And that's why I was like, oh, okay, they're about to get started. I'm looking at I'm like, okay, maybe they don't really consider this as starting. But dang, okay. But we talked about Lindsay and Elmer and the struggles of prawn and adult materials and that kind of thing. We also talked about Lori and Eli with the big menorah celebrating Hanukkah, and the difficulties of having to adopt a new religion and the poor decision making of trying to adopt a religion based on your love and affection of somebody else. I think that's essentially what we were saying. Um, but we will get to the big ones, which I'm
Yeah.
glad we saved them to last
Yeah.
because these are the big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
First, I think that we could go Linza and Chris. And this is talking about a young lady who is a Muslim from Grand Rapids. She's visiting her boyfriend who is in Cleveland, Ohio. Um, Cleveland Browns, which we'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
a little
that
bit,
makes an appearance in the next episode.
right?
Or what?
Which is a link in, like, because
Yeah,
we all about tying it into the Sister
Cleveland
Wives universe,
unites us today.
right? Right. The things that bind, the
Yeah.
ties that bind. Um, with Lindsay and Chris, uh, Lindsay comes to Ohio to visit with Chris and to meet his parents. Now she's met his parents before. This isn't the first time. And the last time she met his parents, uh, the dad had started telling her that she was going to hell because she's a Muslim. And in this instance, when she comes back to meet the parents, she's sitting at the dinner table. They put a nice healthy plate of food in front of her. You got the mac and cheese, the all the good stuff. The baked chicken, which is it's a
Mhm.
decent meal. It sits it in front of her. They do the prayer, and because she because she didn't say amen, and she didn't say anything about JC, the big guy, Jesus Christ, because she didn't say anything about that, and she said, was it
It's like
something about Allah,
it's like
Mashallah?
inshallah, or if we have any Muslims, well, they'll let
Yeah,
us know what it is.
let her
They'll be
play it.
like,
No,
please stop, you guys.
like don't try it, don't try it.
Yeah,
But
don't
she does that, and then
yeah.
my man looks at her and was like, "You don't say, the JC thing to amen to that." And she looks at him and says, "No." So what? when he did that, did you have an initial reaction to them going right at her about the religion thing? No warm up, just right into like the whole religion aspect.
I mean, I I was a little taken aback when Pastor Dad was like, we've taken it too easy on her. We need to
Right,
go, like we need to kick this into gear. We need to save this woman. If it's the last thing Pastor Dad does on this earth, he will save Lensa.
right. And he was because he's dead ass about it. He told her that I've been going too easy. We're gonna have to be a little more firm. So Linda might want to watch out because it sounds like Pastor Dad might throw in the trunk, put a bag over her, throw in the trunk, and then take her out for dumping like the the river out there for
What I
baptism. So
originally thought was going to be a drive-by baptism, I'm thinking it might end up being a drive-by exorcism because I think he is really convinced that she is like
right.
like demonically possessed or something because she is of a different religion.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he does it in such a way where because she has a different faith, there's zero tolerance in this situation because they believe what they believe. And that's what we were actually saying earlier before I clicked on to go live, that with some of these faiths, these are serious heavy duty faiths. Like the for those who aren't familiar, the Presbyterians, like there's sects of the Presbyterian faith that do the faith healing. They're also the group that does like the snake handling. You know, like they'll aggravate the hell out of some snakes and then pick them up out of the box and then start praying and dancing around. And
Right.
based on their faith, the snake will either attack them or not attack them. And if they're blessed, the snake won't attack them. If they're not blessed, they're going to get poisoned to death. So it's one of those things. My opinion, and just some ideas, just throwing some ideas out there. If you guys really want to test your faith, get a box, get a bucket of water, and get a cat. Put that cat in that box, dump the water on it, shake it up. And if you can reach in that box and pull that cat out and dance around for 5 minutes and that cat don't attack you or rip you to pieces, then there you go. That's your faith right there. That's way more dangerous than two snakes, in my opinion.
I've been trying to give my cat pain medicine, kind of the same thing. Just
Right.
trying to get
there's praying
her
there.
mouth open to give her medicine. So I just ended up now I'm mixing it with the food because luckily we have followers that are cat people and they were like, do
Right.
this instead because that is the worst way to try to do it. So
Yeah. I mean, unless you have stock in Band-Aid, you know what I mean? Or you think scars are cool, then
yeah, right.
you might want to mix it up in some food because cats don't play. Like they're not for the foolishness.
Oh, people are saying Pentecostal, not Presbyterian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it?
Apologies.
You might be right.
Apologies.
Okay, I got my religions mixed up. Huh. Yeah, maybe it is Pentecostals. Well, because the guy said last week that some of the Presbyterians be doing it.
Yeah, so I remember he was like, "Well, we're not like the Looney Tunes that like
Right.
are snake charmers and stuff." Like, so
Oh, we might have maybe we have some Presbyterians in here. I don't know what I mean.
and they were like, "Sir, we do not want to be associated with those people."
Right. Which also ties into the episode of Sister Wives we're going to be talking about a little bit, where you had the Mormons basically saying we don't want to be associated with your group because you make us look bad.
I mean, I don't think, and so when just to a little bit of foreshadowing, I will get comments, and I don't know if you get comments on your videos, James, like when we talk about, sometimes I'll just say Mormon colloquially. Like I
Right.
know that it's like LDS specifically, and then like there's Mormon fundamental polygamy, but sometimes I generalize. People get real mad when I do that.
Oh, they get heated. Yeah, they get
Yeah,
heated. Like
because they do not, like LDS do not lump us in with the
right,
Cody friends. And you can see that in this episode. Like
right,
Cody's friends are like, you crazy.
right. We are not a part of you. To make it
Yeah.
perfectly clear.
Like
Get
your
you on
mom's
your own.
phenomenal, but she crazy.
Right. She cray. You
Yeah.
know, so there's no crossover there. Just
No,
making it very clear. Yeah, there's like the blood and the Crips, like they gang banging religion, gang. Okay, so yeah, so when Lindsay and Chris, the dad's sitting there, and one of my favorite parts of the episodes from the dad from this particular couple is the dad starts giving his testimony, and I don't mean to laugh at anybody's testimony because how you find religion, how you find your faith is how you find your faith. It just particularly tickled me because he was like, "Yeah, I was on the dance floor tearing it up, and then all of a sudden I heard a voice." And it said, "What if I killed you right here on this dance floor?" Like, what the shit? Like, what kind of party was this? You worried about getting slumped in the damn dance club because you having too good of a time. And
Well,
the dad starts crying and speaking in tongues, which was awesome.
one of the last seasons of 90 Day Fiance, I think it was before the 90 days, this woman had a revelation while she was vacuuming. It,
Mm.
you know, the spirit comes when the spirit comes. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't know the time, the day, nor the hour when
Yeah.
they arrive. But
I still take Chris's preacher dad a whole lot more seriously than I think Lori takes Eli's family, which is
right.
sad. I don't think she has much reverence for their belief system, and that's sad to see.
Yeah, you know what? I think that in fairness, though, I think that there's a point where you mirror back your opinions and your thoughts. So in Lori's case, I don't think she takes and she said that she's basically an atheist. So
Right.
I think it's a little fair for me to say that she doesn't take Christianity or Catholicism serious, and that's her faith. So it would be difficult for her to see where if I don't believe there is a God, for me to do all this extra stuff for a religion that, I didn't grow up in may seem like a lot too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And
so I think that's kind of where she is.
this is the second time we have heard. First it was the rabbi, and then it was Eli. I think it was Eli's mom that was like, why would you want to convert to Judaism? Like, if you are not Jewish, why would you want to do this? Right?
Mm,
It's like they genuinely don't understand someone who is not born and raised in this belief system. Like they want you to really want it. And if you're not going to take it seriously, if you're going to lip sync along to their traditions, there is a lot of traditions in Judaism. Like
right,
if you're not down for it, then they're giving you every opportunity to cut and run.
right. And I can see that too, because it's one of those like situations where if you don't want to be a part of it, you don't have to be a part of it. But at the same time, don't come in and mock my beliefs or make fun of me because of what I believe, because that's how they're taking it. Which I'm not even saying that they're completely wrong, because that is what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's making fun of their situation, by not bothering to learn the words, by not really trying to study. She's involved with Eli, and I think the big question that has to come up is, if it wasn't for Eli, would you still be doing this?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for your relationship with him, would you still want to be Jewish? And if the answer is no, then you really have to take a step back.
And I'll be
Um,
honest, because growing up, I grew up Lutheran. I was baptized Catholic. Both of those worship styles are much more subdued. Um, I've been to like Southern Baptist churches out here, which is a lot more animated, not quite to the level of like Pentecostal, but
Mhm.
it is a lot of like throwing your hands up and it's active. You get cardio. I went to
Right.
church and there was a woman that had a change of shoes. She wore sneakers during the service, but then she had her heels on for afterwards. So that style of worship honestly makes me uncomfortable, but that's not for me to tell someone that it's wrong or silly or anything. It's
Right.
just not my jam, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some people like the as crazy as it is, I've seen because I've like I said, the way I grew up, I saw a lot of different faiths and I've been to a lot of different churches and stuff.
Mhm.
And the weird thing, because I was just curious, so I would just go to different churches. And what the thing is that there are people who love like the Baptist church when they have like a full band, and these guys are like musicians. They're not just people who play the
Mm-mm.
drums or the guitar.
Right.
These are musicians, and they're playing like a set. Like they're up there playing a set, like they trying to get a record deal. And the singers are awesome. There's dancing. There's all kinds of stuff. The preaching's incredible. The public speaking's incredible. And then there are people who love that. And then, like Sarah was saying, there are people who go to, like, say, Catholic church, and then you have the regular mass, and then you have the masses where you could go, like, into the we have cathedrals and stuff. You go to the cathedral, and you can hear them do the whole mass in Latin, and they love, like, they couldn't imagine those people who go listen to the Latin version of the mass. There's no way they're going to a Baptist church jumping around for 40 minutes to 2 hours. Like, it's
M-
not happening.
My
And it
grandparents would be confused. Like
right,
they would be confused.
right. What?
English is not their first language, and they will sit through Latin Catholic Mass and understand that more than
Right, right.
than one of these
And
church
give the
services.
responses in Latin. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But at the
yeah.
same time, you get that Baptist guy who will go to the church and dance, like literally be on his feet for 2 hours, up and down, just the whole time praising, and then get to a Catholic mass, regular old Catholic mass. And I'm talking about the Speedy Gonzalez mass that everybody want to go to, where the guy gets you out of there in 30 minutes to 45 minutes, that mass. And they'll be confused with all the stand, sit, kneel, stand, kneel. You know what I mean? They'll get
Mhm.
confused with that. So there's always that kind of bridge.
Yeah.
But as promised, I saved the best for last, or I thought
Um,
was the best, the most crazy. Muhammad and Ashley. This was a continuation of Muhammad coming in. He's in full on
he's
garb. He
ready.
has right. He has a throbe. He has the headdress. He's got her wearing the garb. They come
Mhm.
into this restaurant in the middle of America, Missouri, small town ass America, and they walk in carrying a cake. What was your thoughts when you saw their faces?
Oh, I was like, I'm so glad this is being recorded because had this not, I have no idea what would have actually been said because it was pretty uncomfortable with presumably everyone on their best behavior because they were on TV.
Right.
So Sister Jen is a freaking liar. Liar, liar,
Right.
pants on fire. She will not admit to calling him a terrorist. And it's pissing me off because it's like, just own it. Own
Right.
it. Be
Right.
sorry about it. Try to make a bet. But I can't blame, I kind of felt like Muhammad was a little trying to goat them at times. But I can't blame him. These
Hmm.
people have said horrible things about him. And he didn't even want to come back here to begin with, but he did. And it's this girl's birthday that called him these horribly offensive things. This is the last place he wants to be. So, yeah, you want me to be there? I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there extra in all my glory.
Right. Oh, you
Yeah.
want to see Muslim? I'm gonna show you Muslim. Yeah. And
Exactly.
And I gotta tell you, when he walked in there, I didn't know whether it was my sound or my imagination or just what happened. But when he walked in, it felt like the whole bar was like,
Yeah.
what the?
I think they did. Everybody, I
Yeah,
mean, I've only ever really lived in pretty diverse populations. Even I mean, even Orlando is pretty diverse, and it's probably the least
right.
diverse place I've lived. So I can't really speak to how that would be to just see someone just so out of the norm walk in, right? And yeah, your head would turn. But man, these people, I was like, oh my God, I have so much secondhand cringe right now because
Yeah.
it's like I was afraid someone was going to shout something. And I was like, oh my God, make it
Something
stop.
bad was gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you story time.
Woo!
I, I can tell you. I can tell you what it's like. I went to my brother, he works in PA and he works for the state. And he had an opportunity where he was supposed to go to so just for those who are not aware, in Pennsylvania, you basically have Philadelphia, you have Pittsburgh, and you have Mississippi in the middle. A lot of people call it Pennsyltucky, like because it's like rural. It's like being down south. There's outhouses in some places. They have Amish there.
Wow.
It's wild. Yeah. So I'll go down to I go down to the capital with them. It's in the middle of Pennsylvania. We get down, not even really in the middle. It's it is what it is. We get down there. We get off the train because take the train in. We get off the train and we just hanging out. We walking down the street, and as we're walking down the street, I see cars coming by. They driving, and the drivers are like, "What the?" And me and my brother looking at each other like, oh, okay, I see what it is. And we walking by a diner, and they have a big picture window, and the chef is there, or the cook is there cooking in the window on the grill. And when we walked by, he was like, click, 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 click.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what it was like. So we shut the whole town down.
Oh
And
my goodness.
he went in, took care of his business. I did something, and we were walking around, and there was one black guy that we ran into, and he saw us from across the street. He saw us like, "Hey!" He came running across the street. We shook hands. We talked for like 5-10 minutes. This dude was so happy to see us. It was crazy. There was
Wow.
another time, another, another story. I had a buddy named George. This dude he was in Pennsyltucky, and they were driving across the state, him and his buddy. They were going to spend the night, and connected to the hotel, there was a bar. So he walks into the parking lot, and at the time they heard like this music, and it was MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. So yeah, Can't Touch This. Can't touch this. He opens up the bar door, walks in. The music literally goes
Oh
and the whole bar stops. They order a beer, they drink the beer, and they're like, okay, let's go get out of here. They leave, and the second they leave, the music starts right back up again.
Oh my goodness.
So I've been in that situation. And I can see, like, when the bar stopped and looked at Muhammad, like, I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Ugh.
But sometimes it's just they're not used to seeing it. Like, it's not, sometimes it's crazy, sometimes it's not as crazy as people think.
But I think because we know that like her family has said like really racist shit about
Right.
him, that it's like we don't know what you're thinking when you're stopping to look at him like that. So I mean, I don't know about the other patrons of the restaurant, but
Right.
like, and this place is called Prison Brews. Like,
Right. Yeah, not my top choice. Yeah, not my
no.
top choice. Oh, even the one place me and my brother we passed by, there was a drinking establishment. It was called Bar. Just to give you an idea what kind of town it was.
Wow. Real
The bar
creative.
was called Bar. Yeah. So I wouldn't go to Bar and I wouldn't go to Prison Brew. Like it's just, call me crazy. But
yeah.
So he walks in wearing his Muslim garb. The sister immediately, and again, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a show production, but she immediately jumps in and starts asking him about, well, you got something to say? You got something to say? Because he's just sitting there. And then he says to her, like, he feels like an outsider because she's not really accepting him. And at that point, she did nothing to make him feel welcome. And this is her brother-in-law. This ain't some dude that's just dating her sister.
Right.
You
And
know.
their baby is like 2. So this has been a while. And I think actually, didn't they say that she hadn't talked to her sister in like 2 years after the comment?
Right,
So
right.
this has been they've been together for a long time. What was interesting to me is that there's all this conversation of, oh no, she doesn't have to convert if she doesn't want to. And it's like, well, wait a second. Then what's the problem? Like
Right.
like if you don't mind that she's not Muslim, then what's the issue?
Right, right. And that's the crazy part too, because and this is where it got really, for me, it was that weird place where everybody was trying to defend Ashley and everybody was trying to come to her defense. And this is where it's like the whole, I'm going to play it quiet because I don't know what to say. I'm not going to defend or give my perspective. This is that weird part where the family members can sometimes overcompensate because you're not saying anything and you're not defending yourself. So they feel like they have to defend you, and because you're not strong enough. So I have to step up because you're not strong enough to resist Muhammad, when that might not be the case, because it sounds like she's okay with the faith. It sounds like she's okay with being a part of his religion and trying to adapt to more of his culture. So it puts the family in a weird place because they're trying to defend something that she doesn't necessarily believe in, or at least that's the feeling I got initially. But what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I it's just very well, I could see how this relationship might make it if like conversion is not super important to him, but here's the thing, his faith clearly is important to him.
Right.
He even talks about possibly taking another wife. I mean, I feel like there's a whole bunch of conversations these two have
Right.
had. So it's like, I don't know. And there's a child involved. So it just makes everything that much more depressing.
Right, right. And that's the thing too, is that a lot of these problems I think could be resolved with a simple, maybe not a simple conversation, but you definitely want to have some form of communication with regard to what you plan on doing, especially if you plan on doing something as far out of the normal culture that she's used to, like doing polygamy or bringing in another wife. You definitely want to have that conversation before you really want to have that conversation before you start having children, because you don't want to be in a situation where, if you guys don't get along, it's one thing for you to break up, but when you're trying to figure out kids and co-parent and all that, and you're a full-on super dedicated Muslim and she's not, then it could be problematic when it comes to co-parenting.
Yep.
But there was one point that I also thought was funny or really interesting, and then we can get into Sister Wives. But the whole idea of the culture of freedom is being naked. Like the way the family, Ashley's family, described the culture of freedom and the freedom of choice is the choice to be naked and the freedom to be naked. Like that's the way they kind of described it. Because when Muhammad was challenged, she said something with regard to if Ashley decides to wear booty shorts and a crop top, you going to be good with that? And then of course he said no. My wife won't want her. That's my wife. I wouldn't want her showing her body off. What was your thoughts about that part of it? What was your thoughts about it?
Well, first of all, I feel like that is a total straw man argument. Like you're taking the most like ridiculous, like if she walked out, went to the store in pasties and like looking like Kanye West's wife, how she dresses, like just barely anything, it's barely legal. Oh, are you gonna have a problem with that? Well, yeah, I can
Right.
guarantee you, and my husband has never commented on anything I've worn except for, oh, that's nice, or something like that. But if I walked out and said, let's go to the store, and I'm in like booty shorts and a crop top, he'd be like,
What's going on? Yeah.
yeah, like,
What
you've
are we
never
doing?
worn that before. Like,
Right.
so it's like, why are we even talking about that? Are you talking about short sleeve shirts? Are you talking about a tank top? Are you talking about jeans? Like, because with Lori and Eli, we're talking no denim is the rule there. She's
Right.
supposed to wear long skirts. So what are we talking about really? Let's talk about that. Do you have a problem with her dressing like a casual American?
Hmm.
If the answer is yes, then that's a conversation you need to be had. But she's never gonna leave the house wearing booty shorts and a crop top.
Right.
So
Right. That's for me, that's kind of the bigger, like not the bigger issue, but I think that that's in line with what the way I feel about it. If you date the people who have the mindsets that you want them to have while you're dating them, you don't marry somebody and then all of a sudden you try to change who they are fundamentally. So
mhm.
if you have if you go out and there are women who love wearing, showing their bodies off, and they love wearing tight stuff, barely their stuff, they go to the gym, they got they pants pulled up their booties, the whole nine. Like I see that all the time. But that's their choice. And if you aren't okay with it, don't carry your ass over across the gym and start talking to them. If you're not okay with that form of dress, leave them alone. If you're not okay with your girl going to the club every week, don't pick up a girl or talk to a young lady or woman who likes going to the club every week because
I
she's
know
not
this
going
is
to
going to
stop.
sound rich, being that we are two commentary channels, but there is a serious issue, especially in American cultures, of our inability to just like scroll past. We see something we disagree with online, we just have to put our 2 cents in,
Right,
And it's like, you don't.
right,
Like
right,
the world will keep spinning without that person knowing your exact take on things. So, yeah, and I know that is so hypocritical for me to say, but it's true. Like, yeah, I can guarantee you the person that is wearing the booty short and crop tops wherever doesn't give a shit what like grandma thinks of her
right.
outfit.
Right. Well, I will say this in defense of YouTubers everywhere, including us. I will say that, at least from my perspective, I don't comment on people who don't put themselves in the purview or the sphere where I can comment on them. So, for instance, if you're on a reality show, yeah, I'm gonna have some stuff to say about you.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna walk down the street and see somebody in their front yard and film them and say, guys, look at this lady doing something I disagree with or
Right, 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 right.
disapprove of. If you're in a public space, then I might have a comment for you. If you're not in a public space, you're free to go. That's why I don't comment on some of the brown kids that don't want to be on TV. I don't
Mm.
talk about them.
Yeah.
If they have stuff going on, it maybe makes headlines or whatever. I might mention it, but I
Mhm.
don't really delve into their lives because they don't put themselves out there like that.
Yeah.
With some of these people, if you're a guy, like I've said this before on the channel, like if you're a guy, you go to the gym and there's a young lady. I talked about the girl with the tight pants and the leggings or whatever, and got her stuff pulled up. If she's in there and she's doing her exercises, she doesn't need to hear from me that she looks good. She doesn't need to hear from me that she been working hard and, oh, I can see the thrust, the booty thrusts have been working, girl. You killing it. Like she doesn't need that from me. She doesn't need that affirmation from
Mhm.
me. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I think goes along the lines of what you're saying is that it's not for me to comment on her and what she does, because there's the people who approve too much and there's the people who disapprove too much. Sometimes, like you said, you just got to walk by, keep it to yourself. You can quietly appreciate that fact, but she doesn't necessarily need to hear it because it might make her uncomfortable in the gym facility or whatever. But again, if that's not what you into, don't take your behind over there and start talking to her. And she actually doesn't strike me as a kind of, maybe she was back in the day, but clearly this isn't what she's doing now. So she's made choices, you know. And the last thing I would say about it, oh, did you have anything else you want to add?
No, go for it.
Okay. The last thing I was going to say about it was where one of the young ladies said, yeah, but love in marriage is unconditional. And to that, I said, bullshit.
Like, have you met bullshit. Cody Brown?
Right. It's unconditional. Love is not unconditional. Love is absolutely conditional. How do I know? Just basic things like we'll talk about sister wives in a moment. When you talk about sister wives, if you are in a monogamous relationship, part of my condition of being in that monogamous relationship or that marriage is I can't go out and start dating other women. I can't go to the bar and start picking up women at the bar, bring them home and bang them out and then say, well, you got to love me anyway because it's unconditional. She can leave. She's going to leave. So it's conditional. But what did you have to say about that?
No, I mean, in an ideal world, like, sure. I mean, obviously, like, the love we have for our children is unconditional, or it should be, or we try to do that. But I think you're absolutely right the way you explain it. Like, yeah, there are expectations that I have in my marriage with my husband that he's not going to do certain things or that he is going to do certain things. So yeah, if those expectations aren't met, then we don't have a marriage to talk about, right? So I think you're absolutely right. So yeah, my love for my husband is not based on the conditions of him wearing a certain thing or, you know, doing a certain thing, but kind of, yeah, doing a certain thing. Like, I do have expectations of my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you having expectations of how you expect to be treated, how you expect them to treat you, so on and so forth. I think that actually makes the relationship work. One of the things that he did say in response to this particular person, this is my last point on this, is when that person said, well, love is unconditional, and she challenged him, well, what if she does this and you don't like it? And you insisted she not wear these type of clothes. He said, well, then I'll leave. And that's the exact response. That's it. I'm not going to chase her. I'm not going to try to brutalize her. I'm not going to do any of that. If she does something that I don't approve of, she's made a choice, which leads me to make a choice. I still use the example of affairs. If your wife or your husband chooses to go out, because I can't make my wife be faithful to me. That's just my expectation. If she wants to go out and sleep with a whole bunch of dudes or women or whatever the hell, I can't stop that. Mm-hmm. She's going to make the choice she's going to make. But that leads to me making a choice of whether I want to be with her or not. That she makes a choice, then I make a choice, which gets to the whole idea of freedom. When people talk about freedom, a lot of times they say freedom to do whatever I want, sans consequences. You don't have freedom from consequences. You can do whatever, you can choose whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, but you have to deal with the consequences and the fallout from your decision. And I think that that's where it was. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I cannot make that better. What you said was perfect.
Oh, thank you. Speaking of perfect, let's talk about Crystal Manning, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Crystal. So I love how you guys cover the show. Well, thank you very much. Let me give you a little something. Super thank you. That's what I'm going to give you. Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate you. But yeah, so did you have anything else you wanted to say about Forbidden Love before we get into the Brown debacle?
No, let's talk some Sister Wives.
Okay. Here's a Sister Wives dealio, yo. This episode of Sister Wives brought to you by Foolishness on the Seafront. in this episode, the Brown family leaves Utah, not Utah, they leave Nevada and they go down to Lovell, uh, Wyoming, back to Cody's hometown
Mhm.
so that they can meet with everybody and he can present his family as polygamous. And
Open
then
and honest, loud,
yeah,
proud.
openly, honestly, loud, proud, and they get to go to the parade and they get the fireworks and they get to reconnect with some of Cody's old high school and schoolyard friends. Um, what did you think of them doing like the first scene before they go to Lovell? There's a scene where Cody and the family is sitting around, and Cody and Robin present, it's a boy. We're having a boy. And of course, they're talking about Solomon. We all know that now.
Mhm.
Then they proceed to allow them to pretend to name the baby boy. What
Mhm.
did you think about that?
Again, this is a moment that only Robin cares about. I doubt, I mean, Cody probably cared because it was his first kid with Robin, but like literally, this is Cody's 14th biological child,
Right.
17th child total. Like, this is old news. Like, this is not exciting. This is not exciting for the kids. And it sucks to put the kids in a situation where they have to like fake the funk and or else they get a heap of shit from their dad for being mean to Robin.
Right, right. Yeah, right. You didn't celebrate when she said celebrate, suckers.
Robin's just always tried to be like nice to everyone, and all she's gotten was bullshit.
Right, right. And I'm tired of it. I'm gonna punch you in the eye.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts was when I saw that, two things struck me. First thing, the secrecy aspect, because he looks at Robin and he says to her, well, what do you want to name him? And she said, oh, I'll keep it to myself. Like, so she does, again, she's keeping secret. She doesn't want to share her thoughts on what she wants to do. But the scene that actually this reminded me of was the damn dress, the
Yeah.
wedding dress, where you ask people's opinions and you know full on what you plan on doing. Like, so no matter what they say, you don't give a damn. You're just pretending to include them into something they have nothing to do with.
And why does everything have to be a reveal? Like, why can't you just say, okay, you already did a big shebang because you're pregnant. So
Mm,
just say, and we found out it's a boy and his
right.
name's gonna be Solomon. That's what I mean, that's what I did both times I found out I was pregnant. I was just like,
Right.
it's a girl. Her name's gonna be Penelope.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
There's no
And
surprises.
people were like,
Surprise.
good for you.
Right. Right.
They're like, do your thing.
And that's completely normal because it
No
would
one
be abnormal for somebody to get super invested with what you got going on. That'd be weird.
I think the best
Like,
advice I was ever given, I think this was when I was planning my wedding, is nobody's going to care about your wedding as much as you do. And that transfers over to like babies and stuff. Like people are going to be excited and happy for you that you're having a kid, but they don't need everything revealed to them. You can tell
right.
them. You can tell them and it'll be okay.
Right. Right.
Everything doesn't
And
have to be a party. Everything.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the whole idea that not everything is for everybody. Like everything that happens in your relationship, there's some things that are special between you and your spouse or person or the person you're with, that it should be a special moment between the two of you or your family members, your nuclear family or whatever. It should be something that's held closely, and if anything, it should be held jealously. Like you should be, you know, you should. There's certain things that you should want to keep for yourself and not share with everybody. And I think naming your child is one of those things. Like if you have siblings, maybe include them in it. I don't know, maybe, but for me to go out to another adult, like, hey, what do you think I should name my son? Like that would be weird. Like to me, that would be weird.
Well, and nowadays I have this like low key anxiety about like, oh my God, are people gonna think like what the name I chose is like ridiculous for some reason. Because I mean, there is literally a Facebook group of like names that are tragedies, and tragedy is spelled with an EIGH because everybody wants to be different and spell name like,
Right.
Brittany 1,000 different ways, or Ashley 1,000 different, like very common names that have been around forever. Suddenly we're spelling them 1,000 different ways. So I was really, I mean, my daughter's name is Penelope. That name has been around forever. My son's name is Anson, and he's named after my husband's great grandfather. So it's a family name, but I was like, oh my gosh, are people going to be like, huh? Like when I tell them
Right.
his name, I had that little bit of anxiety about it.
That's all right. The only thing I worry about when naming a child is will they be able, how is it going to look on a job application? Like that's what, you know what I mean? Because I know a guy who taught school, and he taught troubled youth kids, right? At risk kids.
Mhm.
And he had a student, and the child's name was spelled LA dash A. And he said, "What is this?" It was Ladasha was the child's name. I was like, damn. Hey, how do you put that on the job application? LA dash A, like Ladasha. Like
Uh,
so,
in college, I had one of my good friends had an apostrophe in her name. Her name was Milani. It was spelled Melanie, but pronounced Milani with an apostrophe. So, but it's like she
okay.
told me one time her name, and that was all. Like I never thought, oh my god, her name's really Melanie. So I don't
Right,
know.
right. You just ride with it. You just ride with it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's give Tracy Fractured
Thank you,
History and more
Tracy.
$4.99 super chat. Love YouTubers. Love you back. YouTubies. YouTubies. Let me give you a little special something, 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 something. That's super. Thank you. Appreciate you. But so we're going through. They do the whole like gender reveal or the name reveal, like it's a big deal. You know, nobody really cares. Okay, we move moving right along. And then they get into the whole thing of like Cody going back to meet his people. And well, they did the whole class thing. Well, shit, we should do the class. So they do like a birthing class. I'm so anxious to get to this trouble in back in Lovell, but they do this birthing class for the baby and the midwife, and they have like a whole bunch of people. And Cody's like, the last time I took a birthing class was about 18 years ago, and I'm assuming that's with Logan because that would be about the age that he is.
First of all, these people don't even trust like modern medicine enough to like go to a hospital, which fine. Again, if that's like your jam, but you're going to go to a birthing class, like we've seen Cody during births. He thinks he knows everything. What
Right,
can he
right.
possibly learn about childbirth?
Like I'm gonna keep it real and just go. I think that at the end of the day, this is something that Robin wanted to do. Like I don't think this is something Cody volunteered to do. I think Robin insisted on doing it. It was something for her to do that would be fun. And I'll even take it a step further. I had the feeling, let me know what you think. I had the feeling that when they went, just understanding how production works, when they go to the birthing class, one, you have to let them know that you're going to be filming, and you have to let them know what
Sure.
you're going to be filming for.
Mhm.
So, in my opinion, I can't prove it either way, but in my opinion, I suspect that everybody in that room knew who Cody and Robin were. And so when they were asking, like, how many kids do you have? Is this your first pregnancy? And they're sitting there sneakling and giggling, talk about, oh, this is our first pregnancy together. They
Oh,
all knew who they
yeah.
were. And they knew Cody was sitting there like playing Mr. Rabbit with like 13, 14 kids to himself. She got 3 kids. Like this is not your first rodeo. You're fully experienced.
Yes.
So yeah, they talk, and then one of the things that really struck me was that she took this as Robin took this as an opportunity to talk about how difficult her first marriage was, and how she never had a strong male figure to help with the birth. Did you catch that? Did you have any feelings about that?
Yeah, it always makes me so uncomfortable when Robin talks about her first marriage because whatever kind of deal they made with Robin's ex-husband has made it so he has not ever spoken out and given his side of the story. So we only have Robin and Cody's side of the story. And we've seen Robin and Cody's side of the story when it comes to like interactions with the OG3, and then we see how it really was. So we know their tendencies to like skew the truth. So I take everything that they say about her ex-husband with a huge grain of salt. I don't want to necessarily say I don't believe you, Robin, but it's really difficult without knowing anything about her ex-husband. All we know about him is that he was a bad man.
Right,
Stole her
right.
purity, like and even that is like completely inaccurate and not
Right,
a fair thing to say on national television.
right.
So,
Especially, it's in a way like where I have issues with it is that it feels like bullying
yes.
because her having this huge platform and making these accusations against him, he doesn't have the same or similar outlet to be able to say his side, give his side or his perspective on what happened. So now it's just her side, and her side is supposed to be gospel. And then you have her every week talk about what a terrible and bad man he is. Just
Yeah.
as an aside, homie, if you're listening to me, if you're watching this, you ever see this podcast, ever, and you want to make a couple nickels, an easy way for you to do it is for you to write a book. If you
Oh,
wrote a
yeah.
book, you would kill that. You would kill the bestseller list. I'm telling you,
Give Good
the
Morning
people want to see it.
America an interview or
Right,
something. People would be clamoring to hear his story.
right, right.
Um,
You can bring some receipts.
that I know that he has health issues. I think he's like pretty sick.
Right.
I will give it to him that he hasn't made this messy for Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. And
Mm,
whether or not he's like this terrible person, I have no idea. But he's allowed this narrative to be put out there and then just he's slunk away. And I'm assuming for his kids' sake. I don't know.
right, right. We got one. Brittany, not Brittany, $1.99 super chat.
This I owe Brittany an apology because I was talking about how Brittany's are spelled 100 different types of ways. So my apologies, Brittany.
She said, "Not me catching strays."
Yeah.
As soon as you said, I was like, "Oh shucks."
Hey, as a Sarah with an H, I answer to Sarah with no H. So
Right.
yeah,
But thank you so much,
I'm
Brittany.
sorry,
Yeah.
Brittany, and any
So,
Ashleys that are in the chat
and Chris's, but
and Chris.
give Brittany
Yeah.
a little love. Thank you so much, Brittany. That's awesome. Like I'm catching strays up here. I didn't even do nothing. But now that we talked about, we got all that out the way. Now we get to talk about Cody going down to Lovell, his hometown. Now I was curious because the way they talked about Lovell, they said it was a small town and it wasn't real big. So I wanted to get the size. I wanted to find out what the population looked like for this town. And according to the 2020 census, Lovell is about 2,300. Well, it's roughly about 2,400 people, right?
Oh,
And I looked at that and I said, "Holy crap! My college was bigger than that." You know what I mean? I think you know what? My kid's high school is bigger than that.
wow. Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It's crazy small. So everybody in Lovell, I'm sure knew Cody and or was familiar with Cody, his family, and everything. And being as though they all talk, the way they set this up on this propaganda episode, because I think this is a propaganda episode, the way they set it up, they made it sound like nobody in town knew that Cody and his family were polygamous. I think to the contrary, and again, I can't prove this either way, but just understanding how these small towns work, everybody in town knew Cody and his family were polygamous.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet.
Oh, well, we had some like older gals talking about like, oh, his mom was so nice. We couldn't believe that she was like such a kook or something.
Right.
Like, the way they were talking about his mom was like, but we loved her or something. Like, that's such a shame.
Right. She's a weirdo. Like, that's how they roll. And
Yeah.
it's a small town. Like, it's small town America. And so the Sister Wives roll back in. But before we get to that, Crystal Manning, $10 super chats. I need James to read this out loud. Robin spelling Wyoming with a Y. Really? That's right. Because she was like, well, come on, give me the big Y for Wyoming.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
Exactly.
And then she was mad as hell when everybody pointed it out, which is awesome in and of itself. But let me give you a big super. Then one cut
all
you
these
short.
cool like avatars.
Trying to show the folks some love.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
much, Crystal. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Big Wyoming with a Y. Can't forget that. You guys make fun of me.
It's so classic. And, you know, it's funny because I listened to a podcast, the Ace and Caitlin Shit Talk podcast. They cover Sister Wives. And there's like a running joke with them that like Robin can't read. It's not true, obviously. Like, people know that Robin can read. But like, this is why. Things like this.
Right.
The Y for Wyoming.
Well, it's so easy. It was right there.
Yeah.
She just wasn't thinking. I'm sure she was concerned about the finances of her family.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, she has.
Her mind was.
She's plotting big business moves. She can't concern herself with things like spelling. You know what's so funny is like every once in a while I will misspell something in one of my thumbnails, and it will go for like a week, and then someone will be like, "That's not how you spell like restaurant." And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, and this has been up for a week, you guys. And you guys are just telling me this now. I look like an idiot.
Oh, you've been laughing at me for a whole week is what's been going on.
like for some reason, my spell check didn't catch it. Like whatever. And I rely way too heavily on spell check. So I'm making fun of Robin, but I'm in a glass house because I'm about 2 steps above Y for Wyoming. So like
it's just banging out. That's all.
I will speech to text so many things that I'm like, I have no idea how that's spelled.
Oh, check it. Oh, got something else. Who's this? Erin Shive with the $1.99 super chat. Small town girl. Everyone knows everyone's stuff. That's so true. If you're in a small town, you can't do anything without folks knowing exactly what it is you're doing.
I like
Had
him.
to give you that. Yeah, right. Because he's so excited about it. I love that one.
Polite. He's fancy.
Right. He's like, yes, please. Very much so. But so they go back to Lovell. And of course, they show up. They have the cameras. They have all this going on. And they're there taking pictures with the family. And they get to pretend to be superstars while they're down there. And I think that that's one of the big things that Cody is attracted about what attracted Cody to the show and everything else. Is that he's been, when he shows up, they have the camera crew and he's a big deal. This guy, he's met Oprah. He's been on talk shows and morning shows, and he's been on TV, and it's a big deal for small towns. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He knows Oprah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much like top of my pyramid would be meeting Oprah. So I used to dream of getting onto one of her favorite thing episodes. So
Mm. Yeah, hopefully she's up. Maybe she come out of retirement and do like a YouTube. My favorite thing on YouTube.
uh,
They call you
dare
in.
to dream, dare to dream.
Right. Dare I say, Brittany, not Brittany. She was too busy taking calculus to spell. Oh.
Well played, Brittany.
Right. I'm gonna get bravo. That's what that is. Bravo. Brittany coming through. Awesome. But so they go back and they meet with one of Cody's old time friends, Ken Grant. What were your thoughts about Ken Grant? I know we've talked about him, like he's one of those guys that's kind of in the lore of Sister Wives. His name is actually dropped later on with Christine flipping out about them possibly meeting up with him because
Yeah.
he was such a staple before. But what were your thoughts about like Cody going back and meeting with Ken Grant in their initial interactions?
Well, I just thought, I mean, this whole episode, I found it kind of fascinating about how little it seemed these people that knew him talked about him. Like, I went to a really small high school, so I'm still really good friends with most of my senior class. And if I were to meet like a friend's like one of my former classmates, even if that person was a total dumbass, I wouldn't like dime them out like that on national television. I found that fascinating. Like these
Right.
people really think Cody ain't shit. So
Right. Right.
I mean,
Right.
that one woman was going on and on about his sexuality. I was like, oh my God, this aged like milk. Cause like we don't do that anymore.
We and that's the weird thing because like I thought about that when it happened, and he's a part of Gen X, right? He's in that Gen X category.
Mhm.
And it's a weird place because everybody was super sensitive about sex and sexuality. One, and the fact that he was wearing a dress, like they had took a picture with him wearing a dress, especially in a small conservative town, like that for some of these like macho machismo guys, that would have been completely, you know, crazy
Mhm.
for him to do that. So
Mhm.
like them making these kind of speculative guesses about his sexuality, although inappropriate,
Yeah.
was pretty much right up the alley for that time period.
And it was so interesting how Ken was like talking about how like horrible like Cody made their religion look, and how people don't want to be associated with him because they don't want people thinking like they condone this lifestyle or anything like that. Like, these are not the people I would have invited to like be on TV with me if I was
Right,
Cody.
right. Well, and
I
that's the
would go
thing too.
I would go get some like bio friends and
Right.
like pay some people.
Some rent buds.
Yeah.
But but that's the thing too. I think that some of these people, like even though Cody may have been outgoing, and this isn't just a shot on Cody. Please don't take it that way. I think that like just because you're outgoing and people know who you are, it doesn't mean that these people are your friends. And we see like the confusion of popularity. Like anybody who has never really experienced true popularity, they don't understand. Like everybody wants to be popular. I'll say it this way. Everybody wants to be popular, but most people don't understand what it is to be popular. When you're
Mhm,
popular and a lot of people know who you are, it doesn't mean that you have a lot of friends. It just means a lot of people know your name and they're familiar with you.
mhm,
So if he's outspoken, he's outgoing, and he's always in the middle of the crowd, making a spectacle of himself, a lot of people might know his name, but those people probably won't call him friend. And ironically, there will be people who see you in the middle of the crowd, creating a little sparky spark and getting all the attention, and they despise the fact that you're getting so much attention. They
Mhm.
despise the fact that you're so outgoing and this mother. He always looked like he happy. What the hell's wrong with him? Hating, hate,
Yeah.
hate, 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 hate. Yeah.
Cody
So
is like the epitome of not knowing that people are laughing at you and not with you. That is like my worst
mm,
fear. It's to like not be in on the joke, right? Is
right.
like I think like, oh, these are my buds, these are my friends, and really people are like, we just like to laugh at you. And it's like, oh
Right.
shit, And I think like Cody doesn't realize that.
Right, right. They're not keeping you around because they like you. They keep you around, and especially when you're on TV. And the thing is that like in small schools, when something happens, like for instance, if there's a tragedy, and you know a kid in the high school passes away, all of a sudden everybody in the high school was that kid's best damn friend.
Yep.
Oh, friend. Oh, it passed. Oh, oh, Lord, I don't know what to do. Lord, take me with you. But you never even talk to this kid. It's the craziest scenario. So I can imagine a scenario where you see a guy on TV, especially in, like I said, in a small town where you don't have a lot of famous people, and the most famous guy you have is on a national television show, and he comes back to town. Now all of a sudden, everybody used to date your daddy, all the girls who
Yeah.
you would
It
talk
was
to.
interesting how there was like 2 women there that he like had previously gone on dates with, and one he was like, "Oh, I had such a big crush on her like all through school." It's like, this is weird because like if I went somewhere with my husband and we like met up with some of his old friends and he just like talked the entire time about how big of a crush he used to have on
Yeah,
some girl, I'd be like, this is weird.
yeah, but you're not a polygamist, so it'd be very
No,
strange.
but like, yeah, but like, bro, you have 4 wives. It's 4 times
Right.
as weird.
Right, right. And I wondered if they were married because it's not like, even though, you might have gone out when you were in high school or whatever, it's not like they're still single. Like they're waiting for you 15 years later for you to come back to
Yeah,
Level to pick them up.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I literally don't talk about one of my really good friends from high school was like my very first boyfriend in the 7th grade. Like,
Mm,
I don't view him in a romantic sense at all. He is
right.
a friend. You know what I mean? So it's weird to and I would never like interject a conversation about, oh, my friend Alex, and like, oh yeah, back when we used to date or something. That is so weird.
Right, right, right. And because it's one of those things where, because I've had people who, you date or whatever, and not every relationship ends in a big blowout. Well, I should say that off rip.
For
And when
sure.
they don't, you're still cool with them, and you see them, and maybe you see them out, but it's not a thing where you're sitting around, trying to relive and rekindle like that 20-year ago relationship. You know what I
Right.
mean? Especially because you're different people. So even if we would have to get to know each other again, and do I really want to date you? And Cody's the creepy guy, because even in like that's another thing, like a Gen X thing. This is the home of like was it the police? I'll be watching you.
Uh,
Uh, Everywhere you go, every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. And
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Stand outside people's windows with radios and shit. Like that kind of
Boundaries,
stalkerish
bro. What are
behavior.
boundaries?
Right, exactly. Just completely inappropriate.
Yes.
He liked this girl, so he's painting her headlights black. What the hell are you doing? Like, so you vandalize this young lady's car?
I would be so I'm like, Cody, this is why everyone hated you in high school. You were doing dumb
Right,
shit like painting people's taillights black.
right, right. Trying to get them in car accidents because
Yeah.
I like you and I want to date you.
Yeah.
So that was like super creepy.
And
And
Cody's just the one to never let it go too. Like he's the one to always constantly bring up whenever he's around Susan. Oh, like we totally used to like make out. Remember that, Susan? And it's
right,
like Susan's husband is like, can you stop, please? Like,
right.
you know,
I don't need to know this. You know what I mean?
right, like that was 100 years ago. We like have kids, so
Right,
You
right.
have a whole bunch of kids. Like, let's not talk about things
Let's
that
let
are
the
not
past stay in the
important.
past.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's let that go. Um, One of the things that he kept saying throughout the episode was, they don't know me and they can only define me by stereotypes they can define. And so his whole, like, I guess his whole mantra was, they don't know me. Once I became a polygamist, all of a sudden I became a stranger and I became somebody different and they couldn't define me anymore. And when he kept saying that, and let me know if you agree or disagree what your thoughts are, but when he kept saying that, one of the things that struck me was, it's not that they couldn't define you or they didn't know you. They knew who you were. They knew who you were. It's just that they didn't like what you were doing. It's not that it was a mystery and they couldn't figure it out and they had no idea what this polygamy thing is. They're familiar with polygamy. They just don't approve of what you're doing. Well, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think I kind of equate it, and this is probably not a fair comparison, but say you like, I don't know, found out someone you knew was like dealing meth, like was Walter White, Breaking Bad. Like, oh my God, I would have never expected, like it's so shocking. Like, I know him. No, not him. So maybe some people had that reaction about Cody revealing that he
Mm-hmm.
was like a polygamist. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, I don't like none of these people seemed to have any kind of like, oh, for example, the way they were talking about his mom. Like we were really disheartened to learn that his mom was living this lifestyle cuz we loved his mom, blah blah blah. Nobody said that about Cody. Nobody was like, "Oh, we were
Right.
really bummed to learn Cody was a polygamist cuz we all love Cody." It was like, "Yeah, Cody's a fucking weirdo, so that makes sense." Like,
Or he always wanted to be the center of attention, so therefore it would make sense that he would join a cult that would put him
love
at
to
the
have
center of
eyes all
attention.
on him, like
Right.
people orbiting around him. So this makes perfect sense. Cody, a polygamist, tell me something I don't know. You
Right.
know?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course he's a polygamist.
And also, the sky is blue.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, during this conversation, one of the things that actually, one of the crazy things, and I got to give it to his friend Grant, because like it, love it, or hate it, at the end of the day, Grant, unlike some of the other people who were in that little forum space who tried to ride with Cody and everything Cody was doing was okay, Grant stood his ground 10 toes down. He said, look, I don't approve of this. I disagree with it. I think it's a horrible idea. And he wasn't backing down. He wasn't like, because I think some of the people were a lot more amenable to the idea of polygamy and being a polygamist because Cody did come in with the fanfare and the star power from being on TV. So
Mhm,
therefore, it all seemed like a good idea. You
mhm,
know, this is like, I kind of equated to, you can let me know what you think, but I kind of equated to the guy who, he was going to his dad left him a business and he said, you know what, I'm going to sell this very profitable business so that I can move to California and pursue my dreams of becoming a movie star. Now that's a great story if he actually reaches his goal of becoming a movie star. But if he sells that business, he moves to California and he burns out and he comes back and you see him in line at the Quickie Mart or the 7-Eleven or whatever, taking orders. Then all
mhm.
of a sudden, oh, he a damn fool because he had a whole business and he sold it but chasing his dreams. In this particular case, Cody seems like a genius because he's on TV and it seems like they're in Vegas and they have all these big time things happening and he's a polygamist, so polygamy is okay. But
Mhm.
had he had left and he was just regular old Cody still selling billboards, I wonder if a lot of the people who are supporting him on in this little forum would actually still sit there and support him. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I hear you.
But what did you think about Robin coming at because Robin was angry, Christine was angry when Grant was saying that he didn't want Cody, like he could be cool with Cody. He could tolerate Cody being a polygamist, but he didn't want to see Cody trying to what do they call it? Pro, proselyting,
Oh,
proselyting,
yeah, proselytizing or whatever.
proselytizing, yeah.
Yeah.
Or basically preaching or giving witness to his
Mhm.
faith. That just in
Mhm.
terms I understand. So he
Yeah.
didn't want to see him doing that with anybody who was from the LDS church. What did you think about that? Like their reactions to him drawing that line.
Well, okay, so on the one hand, I get where Christine and um Robin are coming from, because it's like that's your belief system and you don't want someone thinking like, I don't know, your belief system has some sort of stink to it and that it's contagious or something, like it's going to rub off on people. And at the same time, I understand where Ken's coming from. Like, hey, like we were friends back in the day. Like, we can be friendly, but like, don't try to convert me. I don't.
Mhm.
So I kind of see both sides.
Right. No, I can agree with that. I think that it's weird because it's one of those situations where if you want to have a close friendship, then at some point you're going to have to come up with an understanding of where they're coming from. And that's going to involve Ken really getting into the scriptures or the doctrines that makes polygamy okay for Cody. And Ken refuses to even entertain listening to it because I guess he doesn't want to be tempted or he doesn't want to be corrupted by the evil doctrines of the AUB or whatever the case may be. And it's a little weird to me that he took that position. As one of the people pointed out, like, you don't want him out, giving witness or talking to people about his religion, but at the same time, you guys went out on a mission and you were out telling people about your religion. So it's okay for you to talk about your religion, but it's not okay for him to talk about his religion. Like, so I thought that was an interesting, like, I thought that was a really good point, and I thought it was an interesting point. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's so funny because from the little bit of research that I have done, and I listen to a lot of ex-Mormon content creators, and granted, I recognize that they are coming from an agenda. Um but I have never seen like two like denominations that claim the same origin story be so at odds with each other.
Right.
Um, from like LDS people that I've left comments on my videos and that I've talked to, they totally denounce polygamy. They do not want to be associated with Mormon polygamists. They don't claim them. They even, some people that I've spoken to don't acknowledge that Joseph Smith practiced polygamy. And that's a controversial take. Um,
Right.
they don't really acknowledge that it was because statehood was on the line for Utah, that's why the Mormon church did away with polygamy. Like there's a lot there's a lot of United States history that's interwoven with Mormon history that I personally find fascinating. That's a song for a whole other day, but um it's interesting, like some ex-Mormon content creators that I follow, like one channel, Cults to Consciousness, she talks about the fact that it's not super talked about, but it's kind of understood that polygamy is practiced in heaven, even in with LDS, mainstream LDS.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I was not raised LDS or anything, so I have no idea, but
Yeah, because it's because one of the weird things about it is that you're the LDS church, the Mormons, don't want to be associated because they receive such a negative view of it, which is where it's weird at. Because when they went to St. George later on, when they were doing the Sister Wives Closet, that's a big LDS community. So, or Mormon, practicing Mormon community. So when they show up, it's not just the fact that, oh, they're polygamous. It's, oh, they're those damn polygamists, because they feel like they're lumped in with them, and all the negative aspects, they get made fun of for being polygamous, and they feel like it's the AUB and the other group's fault, the FLDS. They feel like it's their fault that so many people don't take their religion seriously. So there's a lot of animosity that's at work there. And in addition to that, like the idea of you not being able to proselytize, I think that's the word. You
Yes,
can't go out. Right. I
there's
knew
a
I had
lot
to
of
get. I just said,
consonants in that word, so
right.
it's hard. It's hard.
I need a running start to get over
Yeah,
that hill.
like Simone Biles, like you're gonna do the volt.
Right, exactly. I need to pick up some speed, some
Yeah.
momentum. But the weird part is that I can see what Ken was saying, and it is more of a challenge, just because their faiths are so closely linked, that he said, like, I'll get confused. What it is that your faiths are so close. It's like if I'm a practicing Catholic and I talk to a Baptist, it's not like our faiths aren't that far apart.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So we could have conversations, and they might be able to hit me with like, oh, well, according to this. And it depends on the tone and tenor and the scripture that they pull up. They might be able to flip me around. And that's what I think Ken was talking about. It would be a lot harder. Like, for instance, if he did more, like, instead of him saying like a Catholic coming in, because Ken used the term of like, if a Catholic, it'd be okay for me to talk to a Catholic because we're so different. I don't think you're different enough, because you still recognize Jesus Christ. I think that if you wanted to use that example, you would have to say a Muslim or a person of a Jewish faith, or maybe a Buddhist or something, a Hinduist person, that if they came and talked to me and started telling me about their stuff, it's so different that you would have to make a lot of, concessions in order for you to fall into that faith or be tempted by that faith. But it says a lot. Like, I agree with something that Janelle said, or at least part of the sentiment, that it says a lot that your faith is so weak that it can't be challenged or confronted by any other belief systems without the core of your faith being shook. Like, that was a little weird to me.
Yep. Same.
But let me get one to Aaron Shav. I hope I got that right. Shav $9 super chat. You can only share the testimony they want to hear. Okay, is that as a rule? Like, you can only tell them what they want to hear? Or because Robin said something similar. And let me get your thought on that, because Robin took for some reason I always like kind of zero in when she talks, because it's always so crazy to me. But she took the position that first she said it's not about sex and sexuality, because she said sex is cheap and wives aren't. And that really hits the nail on the head for me, kind of directly, because Robin was accused of basically bankrupting her first husband. So wives aren't cheap. But
right. Exactly. Exactly.
we will ruin you.
Yeah.
But she said something about like when he said we could be tolerant of you, but bringing others into your faith, and from our faith to your faith would be too far, be a bridge too far. And then Robin went on to say, well, we don't go out, like, our faith doesn't want us going out talking to people about our faith and trying to recruit people. In fact, you have to try to find us. Remember that? Do you remember that statement she said?
Yeah.
You have to try to find us. The first thing that popped into my head, let me know what you think about this, but the first thing that popped in my head is, you guys don't want to recruit dudes. You guys don't want to recruit fellas.
Right.
But if there was let's say some 18-year-old diesel gene model who was curious about polygamy, they would be lining up to try to convert that, bring that sweet young thing into the faith.
Exactly.
We need to go pray. So when she said that, I didn't really believe that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, okay, so she says that people like they're hard to find or whatever. But that's not in Cody's nature. That's not how Cody grew up. He's doing a whole ass TV show to spread the good word about your religion.
Right.
Mormons by definition are trying to go out and what's the word? That like make disciples, right?
Right.
They literally go on missions. Cody went on a mission. That
Right.
that is what he knows.
Right.
So
Right. And the whole show, like according to them, because actually I want to do a video on it, but the whole show is based on the idea that they want to try to normalize polygamy, and which would encourage more people to participate in your religion, to seek it out. It would, by definition, if people accept that this is a possibility or an alternative, they may seek it out because it may speak to them. Hey, this is something I want to participate in. So you may not be coming to their house knocking on their doors, but you're coming to their living rooms in the form of a television show, and you're telling them how great and wonderful that this practice is, and you're giving your testimony that way. It's not that you're coming out knocking on their door with the tie on, talking about, hey, you ever hear about the Book of Mormon? That you don't have to do that. What you're doing is actually way more effective and way more subversive for you to be able to do it that way.
yeah.
But the last point I had, because we got them round getting long in the tooth up in this joint. But the last point I had, or the last note I made, was Cody talking to, and I thought this was interesting. Cody talking to the men out at the fireworks, and I noticed that Cody took the opportunity to kind of big time these guys, because again, this is a small town, and he starts talking about like living in Vegas and all the opportunities they have, and they're about to start selling houses. And of course, he pulls up, he's got the convertible luxury car, he's got all these wives, and he's on TV talking to Oprah, and so he's a quote unquote famous, and he's a celebrity. And what did you think about him trying to big time the small town folks in order for him to prop himself up?
I'm wondering if he didn't get like horrifically bullied in school or something, because the way that all these people talk about him is as if he was a clown, like as if he was like the class clown. Like, oh, and Cody loved being the center of attention. He wore tight pants. He did this. His hair was always a thing, and blah blah blah. And yeah, it's almost like he's trying to be like, hey, look at me, I did good, I have a TV show.
Right.
And these people are like, dude, we knew you when, we still don't think you're shit.
Yeah, you know what? You just kind of reminded me of something, or at least linked me to something. There's a lot of speculation. I've made this speculative position before, that a lot of things that Cody has been saying recently comes from a manosphere influence online. Like a
True.
lot of the terms he uses, these are all things that are kicked around the manosphere, the red pill community.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the earlier tropes or pranks that they used to run out about the manosphere was the Lamborghini prank, where you would stand on a corner and a girl would walk by, and you would try to talk, woman, I should say woman. A woman will walk by, and you would say, try to talk to her. And then when she rejects you, you say, okay, well, thanks anyway. You turn around and you hit the clicker, and it reveals that the Porsche, Ferrari, or Lamborghini that's sitting on the corner, the expensive car, is actually your car. And you go to get into the car, and all of a sudden she comes back, and now you're the most interesting guy in the world. You're
Okay.
the most interesting man in the world,
Yeah.
because you have this vehicle. And that's actually what that reminds me of. Like
Yeah.
when he was big time in that guy, he reminds me of the nerdy dude who's standing on the corner trying to talk to this woman who is, let's be honest, out of his league. And then when she rejects him, he says, "Wait, but wait, I have this card. It makes me cool." So it's not the fact that he's cool, it's the fact that this material item makes him cool. It's not the fact that Cody was cool unto himself, that everybody wanted to be his friend. Like you said, he wasn't the center of attention when he was in high school, but it's the
Mhm.
fact that he's the guy who now has a TV show and
Right.
is meeting with Oprah. And therefore, he is more interesting and people are more concerned with talking to him and seeing what's going on. I don't think the people, because they had a lot of B roll or footage of people on the sidelines looking down the street, checking them out and looking at the Brown family and talking and whispering to each other as they walk down the street. Like look at them being polygamous. I don't think it was because they were polygamous. I think they were looking at them because they're people from TV. And I think that's
Yeah.
what it is. And I think he came down to level to big time him. And that's what that whole episode was supposed to be about. And again, I think it was a part of the polygamy propaganda portion of the program, because it was supposed to make polygamy look like it's so great and so wonderful that all these people, even though they disagreed with polygamy before, because that's what he said, so many, I think everybody in that room, with the exception of his old friend Ken Grant and the guy that was sitting next to him, all of them were okay with polygamy all of a sudden.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's all I had on that episode. Did you have any thoughts on that or anything else that was covered in that episode?
Oh, this is such a favorite episode of mine because I love watching Cody just get his comeuppance, and it doesn't happen very much because he spends all of his time around these women that are vying for his attention, and it's like the better you make him feel, the more attention you get from him. So he never is around people that will take him down a notch. So it's like
Right.
enjoyable to watch that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to be fair, I think that the reason why he's around people who may disagree with him and kind of take the piss out, as the people across the pond would say, is because the show's producers wanted to get some different perspective. But even the challenges that I think they faced, they never actually sat across from somebody who had attacked, I won't say attacked them, but gave them pushback in an intelligent, straightforward manner. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like nobody ever came directly at him and said, "Well, this is the issues that I have. These are the things that I see. These are the problems that could arise with trying to do polygamy. And even on your show, these are the things that have arisen. What do you
Mhm.
have to say about that?" Usually it's like they'll say make a good point and then they'll say something crazy bigoted right after it, which
Yeah.
takes away from the original point they made.
Right,
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
like, all right, good point. They say something crazy like, "Oh, I can't be on your side now."
They're Sister Jen from Forbidden Love. They're
Right.
like, God damn
Right.
it, Jen.
You took it too far. You should have
Yeah,
stopped talking 3 minutes ago.
exactly.
You're killing the game. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yo, but that's what I had, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. Before we close the evening out again, I wanted to thank the thank our lovely, special, wonderful moderators who are holding
Yep,
everything down. I have Lizzie B. I saw
yep.
B Cat
B-Cat.
K in the house.
Yep.
Uh, is there anybody else? Am I
Um,
missing you? Anyone else
I'm not
is in the house?
sure. Trying to scroll through. I think those were our two tonight. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining
Yeah,
us as always.
yeah,
And if
and we
you are not watching Forbidden Love, thank you for tolerating us. I am thoroughly enjoying it. So it is scratching the edge. I didn't watch this past season of 90 Day Fiance. I've needed something in my life, and this is giving me that.
right, right. Well, the 90 Day Fiance, I watch 90 Day just as an aside, guys.
Mhm.
Sorry for the offshoot, but I watch 90 Day. Actually, that's one of the shows. That's why I started my channel doing 90 Day. But 90 Day, in my opinion, With the other way, it's hard for me to get into it because I don't feel anything about the characters. I think
Mhm.
that TLC is at a point now with their success where even with hopefully not with Sister Wives coming up this season, but I kind of suspect that this may be the case with even with this show, that they're starting to take the fan base a little bit for granted. And the fact that they assume that we'll always be there no matter what they put out, we're just going to watch it. And
Mhm.
so if they shovel a bunch of dog shit in front of us, we're just going to sit there and be, oh, this is the best primetime TV. And like
That was
the
that
show,
was basically season 15 of Sister Wives with all the camping
right,
chair conversations. 15 and 16, really.
right, right. It's just, well, 16, you did have, that's when Christine packed up Cody's stuff. So
At
by the
the
end of,
very end, like, yeah, they brought it. It was like Vanderpump Rules with Scandival. Like that whole season was trash, and then Scandival happened. Okay.
right, right, right. So when she packed this stuff up, I was like, oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was
it
good.
just got serious.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of that episode was he couldn't believe that she packed it. I can't believe it. She packed my stuff up. I
My
come out to
books
the
and my
garage.
hair product. Oh no.
Yeah, right. There's like my furniture. Like she packed homeboy's furniture. You know you in trouble when your lady pack your furniture up. And she's
Yeah.
making her room bare. Like, you know what I mean? And even worse, if she replaces your shit. So she takes your nightstand out and she replaces your nightstand with another nightstand. You're not even coming back because the
Mhm.
space is filled. Sorry, bud. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that like with a lot of the 90 Day Fiance stuff, they started getting to a point where it's becoming super redundant. They keep
Mhm.
having the same arguments over and over again. So watching the episodes now is just basically a rehash of previous episodes, with the exception of like 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, which is doing her tell all now. And we get to watch Angela Deem, the dirty bird, basically verbally assault and abuse her husband on
It's
TV,
so
and
awful.
nobody says anything. It's
So
crazy.
awful. It's so awful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. We need Muhammad from Forbidden Love to like be there to like, because he would not let that shit fly.
No, no. He'd be like, "You do not disrespect a woman,
He would
well, a
step
man,"
up to Angela.
and that'd be that. Boy, he'd be serious. He'd be serious about it.
Yeah.
But I like. At first, I didn't think I would care for Muhammad, but I appreciate some of the things that he says because I think he makes some good points. With some of the stuff that he's putting out there. Like he does make some good points. Like some of the stuff he says, a little too far for me, but I give him some credit.
Yeah.
Give him some credit on that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys kept it live and lovely.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't get to post a lot of your stuff. I was just kind of putting out
And
some
thanks
fires
for
here and there.
not doing the whole my teacher didn't show up. I'm giving them 15 minutes and then I'm out. You guys were like WTF. And
Right?
I appreciate that because
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
were not gonna notice. Probably.
Right, right. Oh, we were running the show. Like the show was running full steam. Like, yeah. Right.
The audience of two.
Right, right. This is one of the dangers of like it not being a live audience because you sit there like, yeah, this is a great show.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful evening. Oh, before we go, Sarah, did you have anything that you wanted to plug this for this upcoming?
I'll have some videos coming out this week, same as usual.
Okay. Yeah, be
Yeah.
about the same. Me the
Awesome.
same. So make sure you check out those videos. We'll try to keep you apprised. We shall see you next week. You guys take it easy, take it slow, and get it how you get it. All right. Thanks.
Bye.
That's my take. I'm out.
Bye.